So we're back to COVID after 6 years, and this is regarding Dr. Anthony Fauci, the world's famous doctor for COVID for the wrong reasons. And this is a Senate meeting where he was called to the Senate to testify regarding COVID, the vaccines, the rollout, the mismanagement of the entire situation. Was this all a big cover up or just a distraction, a circus to keep us engaged? If you're here for the first time, hit that subscribe button and welcome to my channel. My name is Sean and we're going to deep dive into the video and I'll give my thoughts, my opinions about what really went on and how it could have gone down. And without any further ado, let's check out the video right away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyer is sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people.
I never really understood what this Fifth Amendment meant in the US Constitution because it's a loophole for a lot of criminals and accused to actually find a way out of the situation by pleading the fifth. I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth, and you kind of don't need to answer questions. That's a bit of I think this is only in the US, I mean only in the States. You don't find it in any other country where you have a Fifth Amendment where you can plead not to speak, not to give your opinion, not to answer someone. So it's a very weird rule. I mean, some of you might agree, some might not agree. They might say, yes, this is something that's needed for whatever, XYZ reasons. But if you want to know the truth, if you want to question somebody, they can just throw a reverse card and keep on pleading the fifth, and you can't really do anything about it. So it's a very weird amendment, in my opinion.
But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
At this time, I think it's a waste of time even watching the entire video because every question that Senator Hawley, whatever his name is, keeps asking Fauci, he'll keep on saying, I plead the fifth, or on the advice of my counsel. So this is a stalemate. I mean, there's no point even calling him, no point even him going for the meeting because it's just a joke. I mean, I've seen many of these Senate meetings, these Congress meetings where people are brought in, questioned, like Mark Zuckerberg, you have different politicians, now you have Fauci, you have different people of the government. But not once I've seen any action being taken. That's the weird part. I mean, people are always questioned regarding their policies, what they've done, what they haven't done, what they could have done. But there's no real outcome. There's no real result that comes from this. No, I mean, no, I would say conviction or at least some sort of a punishment for those who are accused, or again, if you find them guilty, obviously. And there's not been many examples of this. People just come, sit there for maybe an hour or two, answer, or in this case, they don't answer questions, and it moves on. It's just a waste of US taxpayer dollars, waste of time, waste of resources, and it's just a big circus at the end of the day. Because all this doesn't matter because no one will be accused, no one will be sent to prison. So, just my thoughts.
Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Volker says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service, you've got the Adelson Prize, you've got the Smithsonian Award, you've got the National Academy of Medicine's Award, you've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right. We've got it in your emails. Your staff and employees on federal time, using federal resources, being paid with federal dollars, are soliciting cash for you. And then they're turning around and saying to the agency, we don't want just an answer. We want to get to yes, because Fauci wants the money. He wants it. We want to get to yes, and yes takes time. This is your chief of staff again, using federal email to pressure the agency's own ethics people so that you could get money, so that you could get rich. And it violated the law, didn't it, Dr. Fauci? Didn't it? It violated the law, didn't it? It is a question. You can answer. Go ahead.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer.
Why even bother? Why even bother?
Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Federal law, as you very well know, prohibits the solicitation of cash awards or other personal benefits for federal employees. And it certainly prohibits using your own employees to do this. 5 CFR section 2635-205B. It says it right there in black and white. You cannot use federal resources, federal dollars, federal employees, federal offices, federal email, federal time to solicit cash awards. And you did all of it. And the worst part is thousands of people were dying while you were doing it. You were supposed to be the nation's doctor, and you're playing one on TV. But this is what you were doing with your time. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth
You know
Amendment
the
to the
answer. He's not going
Constitution.
Yeah, I can see why. I can certainly see why. You know what I can't quite figure out is that why you were so obsessed with it, because you're already rich. I mean, and your scheme worked here. I mean, your net worth now is north of $12 million. You got over $1 million in cash awards during COVID, during a 12-month, 24-month span during COVID. $1 million you knocked down in cash money using federal resources. Now you're worth more than $12 million. You've got a pension that in its first year paid out north of $400,000 a year. 1 million people dead, you're getting rich. 1 million people dead, you're using federal employees to get cash awards for you. 1 million people dead, and you're here taking the fifth because you don't want to admit that what really happened in all that time was a multi-month, multi-year course of self-dealing. Isn't that true, Dr. Fauci?
On the advice
Plead the
of
fifth.
counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah, well, silence is admission. And here's the real thing. At the end of the day, it wasn't just about the money, really, was it? It was really about a power trip. I mean, through all of this, you want to be the most famous scientist in the world. You were so focused on getting every award and every drop of cash that you could, all because you wanted to be on TV. You wanted to be the sun god of science. You wanted to be the guy who was in charge of it all. You wanted to lambast Trump. You wanted to make sure that nobody else stole your spotlight. You wanted to be the guy. You had time to sit for InStyle magazine. Here's what you were doing with your time. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you can't answer questions for the American people. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards, but now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time, I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
So guys, that was the video, the Senate meeting with Dr. Anthony Fauci and Senator Hawley. A lot of unnecessary questions, and he kept pleading the fifth, which was expected. Nothing surprising there. And the funny thing is, there's a couple of videos of him, of Dr. Fauci, before this, I think back in 2021 or 22, where he was asked if you were ever questioned or asked to come to Congress or the Senate to testify regarding COVID, would you do it? And he said, yes, I would be more than happy to answer all their questions, happy to respond to anything that they say. This was maybe 3-4 years ago.
Bag, but I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee.
Counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
I can explain and validate everything that I've done. So, you know, it's going to be inconvenient.
To answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
I mean, I'm going to do what I need to do, and that is
Respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the.
And funny enough, 2026, keeping quiet, pleading the fifth. So, I mean, yeah, this is not only in the US, this happened all over the world, unfortunately. You had places like Australia, which became very strict during the lockdown. They never allowed athletes to come and take part in the Australian Open. You got other places, Canada, France, maybe Germany, even India, even China. China was very strict. I mean, they imposed curfews. They locked their citizens at home. You couldn't really go out. It was a very wild time. Those who haven't experienced that, those who were born recently, I mean, thank God for that. But most of us have been through that timeline, and it was a very dark, very weird time to be alive. And a lot of misinformation regarding COVID, the vaccine, and how taking the vaccine could stop the spread, could stop you from getting it. And now it's all out there. People, even after getting the vaccine, still got COVID, still got sick. In fact, some of them even developed serious injuries, serious breathing issues, illnesses, diseases after getting the vaccine, which is there in some of the studies which have been done since then. And this guy made a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty evident. He was the one funding the Wuhan lab through gain of function research and trying to experiment with different viruses and trying to, I don't know what, maybe make a bioweapon or trying to create a pandemic so that you have the vaccines to sell to make money off it. There's different theories online with what could have happened. But at the end of the day, people have lost loved ones, they've lost their family, lost friends, lost children, lost parents, and there's no proper accountability in the world. Actually, there's no one who's trying to launch an investigation to see if any one country is responsible, who's behind the spread, who's behind the funding to hold them accountable. But there's nothing ever happening or going to happen with COVID. I mean, that was quite evident. It was something planned. But till now, there's nothing been done. So that's the sad part. So yeah, that was the video. If you guys enjoyed my take, my reaction on it, would love you to hit the subscribe button, smash the like button if you're here for the first time, and we'll catch you all on the next video. Till then, bye.